If you've spent any amount of time on my channel, you'll know that I hold the Metroid series, in particular the Prime games, in the highest regard. They pair a rich atmosphere with structured exploration in a way that few other games can. Their worlds slowly unfold as you explore, almost like a massive puzzle you begin to solve as you familiarize yourself with the landscape. On top of that, they further draw the player in with discoverable lore entries littering each planet. What you may not know is that I'm also a big fan of first-person puzzle games in the vein of Portal. They too offer strong atmosphere, but with more concrete, short-term puzzles which push the player's reasoning skills to their limits. I like the idea of constantly being given new challenges which require me to apply knowledge I've gained in new ways. Similar to Metroidvania's interconnected worlds, great puzzle games connect up their mechanics in many different ways. If both Metroidvania and puzzle games offer engaging, interconnected experiences on their own, what might they be like when put into the same game? This is the story of how I mashed the two together like chocolate and peanut butter. It all started with the release of Metroid Dread in late 2021. With its shifting of focus away from open exploration and onto challenging boss battles, its massive lack of world building compared to Prime, and its creative storytelling, I was disappointed to say the least. With all this unspent passion for Metroid bottled up in me, I figured it would be best to channel it into artistic expression. I would attempt to make my own Metroid-inspired game, also drawing from many of my other interests. The first step was coming up with an initial concept. I wanted a cute, lovable female character to take center stage, and since I already have an affinity for computers, a sci-fi robot waifu game sounded like the perfect choice. It would also allow me to take artistic inspiration from a certain other robot-themed game franchise. I liked my concept so much I drew out a game map before anything else. After deciding on the concept and setting, I went straight to prototyping. I got the preliminary FPS controls out of the way and started on the companion system. It helped that I had really enjoyed my time with the Minecraft Tatterson's NPC mod, so I knew what I wanted to an extent. I gave the player the ability to issue basic commands like go here and follow me. At the same time, I would add more movement mechanics for the player. Metroid-style games feature a plethora of upgrades you collect over the course of the campaign, so I brainstormed some enhancements to the player's abilities. I added a grappling hook, a Prime-inspired scanner, and what I've dubbed the Sprocket Gun. The game was shaping up nicely, and since initial playtests seemed to go well, it felt time to make my first public demo. I threw together some rooms and characters and added a dialogue system. At this point, I was friendly towards the inclusion of puzzles, but I saw it as only one of what should be many ways I could engage the player. As for player engagement, it would have been an obvious choice to implement traditional combat, but since I wanted to emphasize the aspects of Metroidvania that mean the most to me, I took a hard stance against it. This wasn't going to be a Doom-styled shooter, it was going to be a light-hearted romp. I released the demo and got a few close friends to play it. What were the results? Well, I learned that its art style was far too flat, its open spaces were way too big, and there was this overwhelming sense of encroaching emptiness. You see, the choice to forego combat left a void in my game. There simply wasn't a gameplay loop. I had a solid plan for the game's upgrade system, but there was an obvious question the player would ask once they started walking in any direction. What do you do in this game? Contrary to my initial understanding, a full game campaign really can't be held up solely by Metroidvania item collection and exploration. Such a game would cause the player to quit very quickly, since it lacks any short-term goals to accomplish. Even games whose art style is their selling point tend to include something which engages the player on a more tangible level. And how long is Scorn? Like 5 hours at most? I began to study smaller indie games like Crypt Worlds and QT to understand what a more minimalist game design feels like. Crypt Worlds had an interesting currency and pissing system on top of its collectathon gameplay, which turned the late game into a resource management challenge. QT, on the other hand, was comprised of pure exploration. There was nothing to do except walk around and look at all the little smileys, and for a short game, that's all it needed to be. Since I wanted my game to be carried through a full campaign, I needed something to add substance to it. I experimented with coin collection, but ultimately it felt like I was tacking on external rewards to incentivize people to keep playing. It reeked of desperation. What my game needed was an intrinsically rewarding gameplay loop. I went back to my demo looking for what parts of it might have worked better than others. From playtesting, it was clear players were most engaged by the game's puzzles. That's when it hit me like a ton of bricks.
Dodoy! It's a puzzle game!
A focus on puzzles adds all the gameplay I need on top of reinforcing my emphasis on the more brainy aspects of Metroidvania. In the end, what I've essentially done is taken Metroid Prime, unplugged its shooting combat, and plugged in the puzzle dynamics we see in games like Portal and the Talos Principle. As Metroid Prime's lead designer, Mike Wikan, put it,
one of the pillars for Metroid Prime series was exploration, right? None of the pillars was shooting. Shooting was just something you did while you explored. Shooting supported exploration, but it wasn't a pillar. Moving, jumping, vertically and horizontally supported exploration. Moving wasn't a pillar. Exploration was a pillar.
If shooting is just a supportive mechanic which reinforces your exploration, that means you could potentially swap it out for another gameplay style and have that also support exploration. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's cool. It's freaking awesome.
Immediately, I focused on adding more puzzle elements. I standardized the lift and added a little dog that scares your Chandroid. After watching Brett Taylor's amazing GDC talk on puzzle design, I came up with 10 brain-bending puzzles like the ones from the first demo, and threw them out there to be tested. This time, I was discovered by a nice Japanese streamer, Tsuneko, aka Cat Lover Mimi. It was unreal seeing the enjoyment he got from the game.
チャンドロイドになってる。ちょっと待って。なってる。あ、Hi! Hello, sweetie! Hi! Q でコマンド。わ、すごい！自分で指定できるの、すごい！わー!
Everything changed after this. I knew I really had something worth making. Now, I could draw out a more detailed world map and insert each puzzle strategically, such that the player is taught through exposure and repetition. Additionally, I now had the needed motivation to work on the level art, NPCs, cutscenes, music, costumes, animation, and juice of the game. What did I learn? Well, it was very good that I had a plan for the overall progression. I had the big picture stuff covered from the start. But it probably would have been better coming at the game from the opposite angle. Most games are developed with short-term goals in mind first. They aim to answer simple questions like, is it fun, or can it entertain the player for 30 seconds? I might have settled on puzzle gameplay faster if I did so. But regardless, I've learned a lot. Better late than never, right? Fast forward to today, where I'm currently slaving away at fleshing out the world on a full marathon for my Steam demo release. All I have left to do beforehand is power through the rest of the level art, cutscenes, and boring stuff like menu design. Here's to climbing the last stretch of this first mountain. I'll be sure to send out notifications on my YouTube and other socials the moment it's released. Be sure to subscribe and follow if you're interested. With all that said, there's still lots to do and so much motivation to do it. So I'm gonna go crawl back into my hole now. Take care.